Work to do after an entertaining game at Cambridge, where Martin Butler put the home side in front. But the lead was short-lived. Barely 60 seconds later, Carl Hutchings with a close-range equaliser. 4 minutes from time, Butler's second of the night looked like condemning City to a second successive defeat. But there was just enough time for summer signing Paul Mortimer to score his first goal for the club, leaving the tie evenly poised. With Bristol City against Bournemouth. It's transition time for City, with some players already gone, a few new faces in, and surely more changes to come as Tony Pulis knocks his squad into shape. But the team is unchanged from midweek, with Steve Torpey and Adi Akinbaye again leading the attack. At the back, Vilmos Sebok continues to deputise for Gerard Lavin, who remains suspended by the club in the short term. Beyond that, we'll have to wait and see. One new signing who's made the right impression is Paul Mortimer. The former Charlton midfielder is an accomplished playmaker, and as he showed against Cambridge, also has an eye for goal. Unlucky Bournemouth are aiming to go one better than last season, when Wigan pipped them to the playoffs by virtue of scoring more goals. The Cherries lineup features skipper Ian Cox at the back, a player City wanted for themselves only a year or so ago. And up front there's the diminutive but dangerous Mark Stein, once £1 million striker, still a lethal finisher. It's Bristol City then in their new home kit, still of course the familiar red and white, who get the game underway. Worth noting that they haven't beaten Bournemouth in their last 5 meetings. Bournemouth have a reputation as a very good passing, football playing team. It's the way Mel Machin likes his sides to go. And they're already taking the game to Bristol City. Carey's clearance. Two City players in each other's way. Jorgensen, deflection, inches wide. Early scare for Bristol City. It was the new signing, the Dane Jorgensen, who hit the shot. Back from Mean to Hayter, blocked by Mortimer. And he's looking to release Akinbaye early. That's a terrific ball. Adi Akinbaye has lifted it over the top. That was a really good chance, and perhaps he should have done better. Good touch on by Akinbaye. Torpey trying to return the compliment. Akinbaye breaking free of the shackles just for a moment. Couldn't quite find Tinian. Midfield man hasn't given up, and it's Akinbaye. Avondale recovered superbly. Well, Akinbaye was at fault for squandering a chance early on. He was bang on target that time, and it required the best of Mark Avondale to keep the score sheet blank. Another corner for Bristol City. Again, Tinian will take it. Again, the likes of Zubok and Taylor are up from the back. It's short this time for Goodridge. Tinian once more, just changing the angle. And it's forced in by Adi Akinbaye. Bristol City lead 1-0. And the relief all around Ashton Gate is obvious. They dearly love Akinbaye to stay, especially if he keeps scoring goals like that. It's a well-worked corner, and Akinbaye in the right place at the right time opens his account for season 99-2000. Towards the head of Tinian. Breaks for Akinbaye. And Torpey against Howe. Wrestling match, the verdict of which goes Bristol City's way. Tinian perhaps favourite to take it. Tries a curler, didn't come down quickly enough. And a good chance wasted by Bristol City. 2 minutes of added time to play. Mortimer. Great ball, Akinbaye, great finish. It's as simple as you like. And Adi Akinbaye milks the moment. That was a clinical finish from a precision pass by Paul Mortimer. And Bristol City are on their way. Great goal. And appreciated by all bar the Bournemouth contingent inside Ashton Gate. Hayter swings a boot at it. Hutchings had to stretch to clear. Goodridge leading the counter. He's a difficult man to knock off the ball, Greg Goodridge. And he's still going. Well, I suppose he was entitled to be a little bit greedy. It was a sparkling run. Tinian linking well with Jim Brennan. Great try, great goal. The young fullback makes his mark. A terrifically carved out goal down the left-hand side. The combination with Tinian and the left foot strike unerring into the corner. Jim Brennan makes it 3-0. Warren aiming for Fletcher. Touch on. Rawlinson's volley. And Mean on the follow-up. Phillips' handling was secure. Hutchings strides away. Looked up to pick out Akinbaye far side. Red shirts are outnumbered at the moment. Support arrives from Tinian. And away only to the edge of the penalty area. It's Mortimer. Maybe set up for the curler. Keeper got down very quickly. It was sweetly done by Paul Mortimer onto his favoured left flank. It's well won by Torpey, and Goodridge onto it like a flash. Super strike. That's so unlucky. Really hit it well, Greg Goodridge. To be fair to Ovendale, he may have just got fingertips to the ball to divert it onto the woodwork. It was a rasping drive. Comes to Seaborg, straight at the keeper who spilt it. Hutchings, it still can't quite find a way through. A miraculous escape for Bournemouth on 2 counts. First, the big Hungarian with the header, which the keeper made rather a meal of. And the follow-up was all but forced in by Carl Hutchings. Bournemouth's goal is under siege. It's not been their day. Trickery there from Jorgensen. And one back for Bournemouth. It's the substitute John O'Neill who's got it. And a terrific finish too. So something to cheer at last for the Bournemouth fans. A few had just left the stadium and missed the goal. What a cracker it was too from young O'Neill. Tinian just holds it up for the run of Brennan. Now he's able to release the fullback. It's Brennan. Well, he was going for glory for a second time. Pinamonte was perhaps better placed for the cutback. There goes the whistle, and new boss Tony Pulis takes victory for the first time with Bristol City. Comfortable win in the end. The goal scorers, Adi Akinbaye with a couple, Jim Brennan early in the second half, John O'Neill on target late on for Bournemouth. It's all to play for at Ashton Gate. 2-2 on aggregate at this stage. Extra time, away goals or penalties could yet decide this tie. The Bristol City supporters will be hoping their team finishes the job inside the 90 minutes. Many fans expected that Tony Thorpe might be a Luton player by now, lining up to play for them against Bristol Rovers tomorrow. But after scoring as a sub on Saturday, he's got the nod to revive a City career, which has never really got off the ground since his £1 million move. And Thorpe partners Steve Torpey in attack. No Adi Akinbaye, of course. He's off on international duty with Kanu and company for Nigeria. In midfield, Scott Murray continues to deputise for Paul Mortimer, City's first leg hero. He hasn't recovered from a hamstring injury. The visitors will be looking to the experience of Clive Wilson to guide their young side through tonight's test. At 37 years old, he's a veteran of many a fine cup run with the likes of Manchester City, Chelsea, QPR and last year's Worthington Cup winners Tottenham Hotspur. He lines up in a Cambridge team which shows one change following the 4-2 defeat at Chesterfield on Saturday. Alex Russell is out, with Neil Mustoe a straight swap in midfield. And former Bristol Rovers striker John Taylor is on the bench. Today's referee getting the game underway, Clive Wilkes from Cork. It's Cambridge in familiar yellow or gold and black. City, of course, in their home red strip. No form guide really to go for on this one prior to the first leg tie. These teams had never met in the League Cup competition. Although worth noting perhaps that Cambridge's record club victory in cup competitions, 5-1 in the FA Cup against Bristol City. So maybe one score to settle. And here goes City on the attack early. It's Murray deep into enemy territory and he's forced the first corner of the game. Important for the home side, they do make a fast start. They've got the ideal chance now from this corner which Greg Goodridge will take. It's short. It's a training ground move. This is for Brennan. And it almost found its way through to Goodridge. Van Heusden quick off his line in the end to snuff out any danger. Dutch-born goalkeeper for Cambridge United. Taylor with a commanding header. Likewise, though, Eustace for Cambridge. Phillips with his first touch. Good distance on the kick. This is Torpey. Goodridge looking to whip it in early. Torpey couldn't take it, but it might come through for Tinian. It was blocked by Andy Duncan. Don't know how much he knew about it. Something to warm the home fans.
Well, it's a good ball through. A bit of a mistake there. I think Tony Thorpe missed it. It's broke all the way through to Brian Tinian. And I think Brian will be disappointed he didn't hit the target on his favourite left foot.
Already underway in terms of goal scoring this season, of course, Brian Tinian. Scoring goals hasn't been Bristol City's problem, but they haven't yet kept a clean sheet this season. And remember, 0-0 would be good enough tonight. This is Goodridge. They'd love to do it in style, of course. And the second corner conceded by Ian Ashby. Cambridge starting the game very much on the back foot. Taylor among those gathering in the middle. It'll be an in-swinger this time from Tinian with the trusty left boot of his. Easily dealt with though at the near post. For Bristol City boss Tony Pulis will be demanding a little better delivery from his side on set pieces. That's better for a start from Brennan. It's Thorpe who's pulled wide to the left flank. And a good sharp challenge by Duncan. Cambridge guilty of giving away possession rather too easily. Slightly greasy on top, the surface at Ashton Gate. It has been raining quite steadily for some time now. But otherwise, ideal playing conditions out there. First chance for Cambridge, really, but again, Benjamin has squandered the ball. Did well to win it back for his side, though, the 20-year-old striker. Bristol City, though, hustling the opposition out of any kind of stride, and it's with Tinian. Thorpe, maybe a chance for him to make a mark early on. Deflection. Terrific save by the keeper. That was just heading underneath the crossbar, and Tony Thorpe very nearly impressed Tony Pulis.
Well, I thought for a moment Tony Thorpe was going to hit this a bit earlier, but he waited his chance, took a wicked deflection and had the keeper in all sorts of trouble.
Now Murray bursting from midfield. Another fringe player, I suppose you could say, at Ashton Gate, who maybe has a point to prove. That's a good-looking cross. Torpy's knocked down. Thorpe couldn't get there. Hutchings on the rebound, sizing one up. Terrific try. Really well hit by Carl Hutchings. That certainly brought the crowd to life.
Again, it comes from one of Brian Tinian's lovely left-foot crosses. Torpy does great knocking it back. Didn't quite find Tony Thorpe, but he did break to Carl Hutchings with a terrific shot. They looked destined for the top left-hand goalkeeper's corner, and a magnificent save just turned it away for a corner.
Quickly taken, near post. Headed behind by a defender, so another chance for Brian Tinian. Carl Hutchings knows how close he was to the opening goal of the night. Scored, of course, at Cambridge. Looking to repeat the dose. Worked short this time. Goodridge hoping to catch Cambridge unawares. He's merely succeeded in forcing yet another corner. That counts already mounting for Bristol City. But of course, it's goals that matter. Away by Michael Kidd for Cambridge. They haven't cleared their lines terribly effectively so far. That was a foul by Goodridge, and he'll do well not to incur the further wrath of the referee. Ashby, who felt the full force of the challenge.
But again, it's come from 3 corners that Bristol City had that they never got into the danger area. Poor corners, considering the quality that they usually deliver.
Benjamin, no doubt, will be making a nuisance of himself around the edge of the penalty area. Here he is. Taylor's headed away. Bristol City looking to turn defence into attack in an instant. Cambridge on their guard. Benjamin once more. He's looked lively for the visitors so far. Trying his luck against Carey. They just knew a bit too much, though. Torpy was being held off it by Scott Eustace.
Again, I mean, Lewis Carey's been a bit clever there. I mean, he tried that a few minutes ago, which led to him giving a bad pass and ended up having to clear stuff off his own line. I would much prefer to see Lewis Carey just doing a good, solid, sensible defensive job.
Goodridge doing a good job now. Early cross into the middle. It'll be retrieved far side by Torpy. Brennan offering support. Torpy will have to motor now to get into the middle. Assuming the cross finds its way over. Nice link up. Brennan once more. Keeper spilled it. Thorpe. Great save. It's in at the second attempt. It's Steve Torpy who's got the goal. And Bristol City lead after 17 minutes. And you felt that the goal had to come. Cambridge had been under pressure, and finally they've cracked.
Well, it's good build-up play. Again, it goes across the box. It comes out to the left-hand side. And we have good link-up from Brian Tinian and Jim Brennan again. Brennan makes a powerful run once he's laid the ball inside to Brian Tinian. He carries on his run, gets the return. But I think there Jim should have been picking somebody out. He was lucky that it came back off the keeper. Tony Thorpe would be disappointed he didn't put it in first time, but Steve Torpy's there to wrap it in.
Cambridge with their first corner of the game. And it's Musto on the volley. It wasn't the greatest effort you'll ever see, but he wasn't picked up on the edge of the box. And once again, that's something that Bristol City boss Tony Pulis will maybe need to have a look at. Taylor coming purposefully out of defence, and he'll take some stopping. It's on his best left side. Well, he doesn't score many goals, Sean Taylor, not from 18 yards. Anyway, that was a terrific burst from the skipper. Talk about leading by example.
Well, you don't see this very often, do you? Not even on the training ground from Sean Taylor. Very positive run, takes it onto his favourite left foot, and it's a rasping shot that the keeper does, well, he doesn't even hold it, does he? Makes a bit of a fumble of it.
It does look quite wintry out there at the moment with the rain coming down. Benjamin needs some help. Or does he? Well, maybe he doesn't. He was being held back by Carey. It's been a real tussle between those two so far tonight, and maybe Benjamin just coming out on top.
Well, there's no need for Lewis to push him. You can see he's got both hands on the back of him, trying to push in. You know, and he's giving away a free kick in a very dangerous area. You know, and all of a sudden there was a free kick into the near post inside his 6-yard box, and you know, that's the last place that you want to be giving free kicks away.
More pressure on the Bristol City rear guard then. Wilson offering himself on the short corner. Back now with Ashby. Just managed to keep his footing. Kidd. Well, he didn't quite make up his mind what he wanted to do there. Seemed to be shaping for the shot and then quit on it. This is Goodridge. Carey with the first-time ball deep into the Cambridge box. They haven't dealt with it efficiently. The whistle has gone once more. Just hearing a little bit too much of Mr. Wilt's whistle for my liking. Just breaking up any continuity in the game.
Again, I mean, it hit 2 or 3 people on the way down. There's no intentional handball there, so you know, if it had hit a defender, would he have given a penalty in that situation? Questionable, I think.
Seabok wins the ball for Bristol City. Almost dwelt on it too long, though. Goodridge had to hurry his clearance and really succeed in putting it into touch down beneath us. Eustace. Looking for Michael Kidd. That's a nice little cushioned header for Chenery. Good work though by Murray in midfield to win it back for Bristol City. Now Brennan skips away from the first challenge, looking to slip Scott Murray in. Good opening now for Bristol City, and Thorpe slides in to make it 2-0. Clinical finish, and he lets the Cambridge fans know the name of the goal scorer. 2 in 2 games for Tony Thorpe. And he's just sending a message out to Tony Pulis.
Again, a good run by Scott Murray, good ball by Jim Brennan. Delightful little chip into the box, and on the far post in comes Tony Thorpe sliding in, and he doesn't miss him from that far out. I must just say though that for the 5 minutes before the first goal up until this point, I think Cambridge have been playing the better football. Now Tony Thorpe's rattled that one in. Hopefully Bristol City will play a bit more controlled passing football.
Wilson. Goodridge is working very hard for Bristol City in midfield. Sometimes gets the tag of a crowd pleaser, and I tend to think he only plays when City have the ball. Deep cross by Ashby. Still in play, far side. Tinian back to Jim Brennan, who completes the clearance. There's a lot of green space between the strikers and midfield, though. Torpy did well to hold that up for support to arrive. Rather over-ambitious cross-field pass, though. Well won by Zibok, and he's looking first time to release Thorpe. The keeper wasn't too sure of his geometry. Thorpe applauds the service. He was very nearly in for his second and City's third.
Yeah, I think the ball sat up a bit harder than he thought. He wasn't sure whether to duck his head onto it or try and get a foot up high enough.
Going to plan so far for the Bristol City bench. Tony Pulis and his assistant Lindsay Parsons nearest the camera. Drilled in, away by Eustace, only as far as Hutchings. And this time Murray stayed onside. He's calling out for a good cross. It's Goodrich. Made a complete hash of the intended volley. Actually hit his standing foot. Benjamin. More than a look of Emil Heskey about Benjamin and the way he plays. Gets his head down and runs at defenders. Goodrich switching it to the far side to Tinian, who's in acres of space. He's got Brennan steaming up outside him. Good coverage though by Mustoe, and a goal kick results. There goes the whistle. So far so good for Bristol City. Halfway through this match, 3/4 of the way through the tie. They lead by 2-0 tonight, 4-2 on aggregate, thanks to the strikers. Steve Torpey it was who got them underway on 17 minutes, his first of the season, his first for quite some time. And then Tony Thorpe, his second goal in a matter of days, since really forcing himself back into the picture here at Ashton Gate, gives them a pretty comfortable half-time lead. It's Bristol City 2, Cambridge United 0. Bristol City try to cement their place in the second round of the Worthington Cup. No changes in terms of substitutes at half-time. Bristol City looking to make certain of what should now be a comfortable home victory. Did progress beyond this round, of course, last season, but then went out in the second to Crewe Alexandra. Cambridge, for their part, had an excellent run last year, having a couple of Premiership scalps along the way. Sheffield Wednesday and Watford, before they went out very narrowly on penalties, in fact, to Nottingham Forest. So some recent history in this competition for Cambridge, but they've got work to do now at Ashton Gate. Late flag. Offside against Tony Thorpe, who looked slightly bemused by it all. Manager's a wry grin, though. Wanless, the Cambridge captain, they'll be looking to him for some kind of inspiration in this half. Feeling they do need to score quickly if they're to make any inroads. Butler perhaps the man to do it. 2 goals, remember, in the first leg for him. This is Kidd. tight. Finally cleared by Taylor. Chenery just helps it on. Hutchings at full stretch. Did well to find Thorpe. Now Torpy. Options right side. This is Goodridge. Murray's gone on ahead of him. Scott Murray into the penalty area. Defensive cover was good enough from Scott Eustace. Now can Brian Tinian produce something rather better with his second half corners than he did in the first? Came off a defender, it was Ian Ashby's head that glanced away behind for yet another flag kick. Short move this time, Goodridge with the cross. Deep for Thorpe, who peeled away far post. The volley was Zubok. Hasn't yet scored for Bristol City. Did famously get a hat-trick for Hungary last season.
The ball is just knocked back to him. He's in acres of space, but leaning back, you leaning back like that, and your line need to stick it out of the ground, never mind over the crossbar.
Benjamin got there ahead of Taylor, finds Butler. There's a man free far side, it's Ashby. Terrific try, hit it first time. Had to really, because the pass didn't carry much weight. It was a lightning break though by Cambridge.
Yeah, good move on the break, wasn't it? A couple of quick interchanges of passing, and in Ashby, who scored a few goals in his time, he wasn't that far past the post with that first time snapshot.
Just a warning to Bristol City then, in case they were thinking of coasting to the finish line. This is Wilson. Bok was there above the striker. This has gone for an infringement far side on Greg Goodridge. He's the assistant who flagged first and backed up by the referee's whistle. Home team resisting the temptation to send the central defenders forward. Tinian's cross. Well, it was Murray. He had to take it in an instant. He just lifted it over. That was a really good run from him and well picked out by Tinian.
Great ball into the box, into the 6-yard box, into the 6-yard box. All he's got to do is keep it down, hit the target, and it's in the back of the net.
Woeful ball though by Carl Hutchings, just presents it to the Cambridge player, and this is Butler. Neither side seems to want the ball. Work there by Wanless, even though he was on the deck. Butler trying his luck. Phillips had to watch it. It was an instinctive try. Very nearly caught the keeper unawares.
It's a great strike from Martin Butler. He's only like 10-15 yards away from the centre circle, so that's got to be all of 40-45 yards.
Looks like Tony Pulis has decided it's time for a change. One of the goal scorers, Steve Torpy's to be withdrawn, and Lorenzo Pinamonte, Bristol City's Italian-born striker, waiting to join the fray. Scored, of course, in the final game of last season, a 1-0 win here against Norwich, so certainly knows the way to goal.
Yeah, he's a good goal scorer, Lorenzo Pinamonte. Probably one of the best natural finishers at the club, along with Tony Thorpe. Got a definite eye for a goal. Holds the ball up probably a little bit better than Steve Torpey. Still young, still a little bit raw, but got a lot of potential.
He's got about 15 minutes or so to realise some of that potential tonight. It's a good first touch for him, and he's looking for a second now. It'll make its way through to Thorpe. Hutchings screaming for it. Thorpe goes alone, and it was probably the wrong decision. Most strikers have a selfish streak. I think the hand up in apology to Carl Hutchings said it all.
Well, he certainly made his impression on the game straight away. Pinamonti gets the cross in. Bad mistake by Eustace. It comes to Tony Thorpe. He's trying to get it onto his bad foot on the half turn, and I think it would have been a lot easier, more beneficial just to lay it back to Carl Hutchings, who's got a straightforward striker goal from about the penalty spot.
Roy McFarland in a position where he's going to try everything now, otherwise his team are out of the cup. Down the line from Tinian to Thorpe. Brennan lines up the cross. Pinamonti was waiting, didn't clear the defender. Hutchings. Well, awkward technique really. It was quite a high bouncing ball and he just couldn't quite get the knee over it to keep the shot down.
Good build-up play. Again, they don't make the best of clearances. It goes straight to Carl Hutchings. Just couldn't get on top of it. But powerful, but just lifted over the crossbar again. Nothing's going to knock it down from up there.
Perhaps a sign that Bristol City have just stepped up the tempo a little though, having gone through a real quiet period midway through the second half. It's Brennan now. Murray missed it, Pinamonti didn't, and neither did the keeper.
Well, I'd have put money on Lorenzo Pinamonti, putting that in the back of the net.
It was a terrific save by the goalkeeper at really close quarters.
Here we see again Jim Brennan getting forward very well. Great ball into the box. He clears everybody. I don't know how he missed that. I think he just hit the keeper as he dived into the back of the net.
Pinamonti losing out to Eustace. Good touch on by Pinamonti. Thorpe had read it and was quickly after it. Goalkeeper did well. Distinguished himself of late as Van Heusden.
He's had a good tidy game, Phil, hasn't he? You know, he is having to play a bit of a sweeper role now. They're trying to hold the line very tight, high up the pitch. And therefore he's having to do a bit of sweeping.
That's not the cleverest clearance. Straight to Goodridge. Can he punish him? Well, the keeper made up for his error.
Last time we'll say he's doing well.
He's doing well at stopping shots. Cambridge are inviting more pressure. That looked like handball. Didn't expect that to elude the eagle eye of Mr. Wilkes. Brennan. One more goal would just add a little bit more gloss to the result for Bristol City. They'll be desperately keen not to concede at the other end, though. This is Benjamin. Carey who got across to him. It's an interesting cross. Well done, Steve Phillips, under some pressure. John Taylor's battered a few goalkeepers in his time.
It's a good take, actually, because it's a big, high looping cross. He does well, he doesn't take his eyes off the ball.
Bristol City, of course, semi-finalists in this League Cup competition as recently as 10 years ago. A long way to emulate that side, but Place in the second round would at least build a bit of confidence and perhaps improve the finances here at Ashton Gate, especially if you a lucrative Premiership tie in the next round. Butler, great try, great strike. Cambridge out of nowhere have one goal back, and hope springs eternal for those who've travelled from East Anglia. A goal absolutely out of nothing.
Well, that's what football's all about, isn't it? Suddenly you're 2-0 up and cruising. 25 yards from goal, the ball breaks to the Cambridge player, Martin Butler, who's got a terrific left foot. Like we said earlier, got an eye for a goal, picks his spot and bears it in the bottom left-hand corner of Steve Phillips' goal. Terrific strike.
Inamonte down for Tinian. Brennan begins his run. Tinian finds him with a good ball. Brennan's cross, Thorpe's header. Van Heusden there again.
Told you he was a good keeper, didn't we? Again, a terrific ball in. Tony Thorpe unmarked.
Tinian and Brennan playing keep ball, and that's enough. Final whistle means that Bristol City are through to the next round of the Worthington Cup, but their passage was not as easy as either they or their supporters would have wished. Looked comfortable at half-time when goals by Tony Thorpe and Steve Torpey, who later went off, to put them in a seemingly unassailable position. The fine strike by Martin Butler just 4 minutes from time really set the butterflies going in Bristol City stomachs, and the home team just managing to hang on in the end for a 2-1 victory tonight. 4-3 they go through on aggregate. It is at least all smiles here tonight at Ashton Gate. It's finished. Bristol City 2, Cambridge United 1. Home to Bury.
A game for the connoisseur, this one, not one if you like goal-mouth thrills. Tony Thorpe did break Bury's defensive strategy to force a save from Paddy Kenny. And Greg Goodridge also got the keeper's knees dirty in a first half which made ditch water look like sparkling wine. Bury had one chance themselves, but Adrian Littlejohn shot wide. The warning signs were there and City were pressing the alarm buttons after 67 minutes. Errors by Sibok first, who missed his tackle, and by Brennan, who missed his header, allowed Littlejohn to score. Now that's something of a rarity for Bury, who scored only 11 times away from home last season. No wonder only 3 fans made the trip. The home side's defence was certainly most hospitable. Bury nearly managed something as unlikely as seeing the Queen Mum beat Maurice Green at the 100 metres, a second away goal. Swindon's former angelic midfielder Darren Bullock should have wrapped up the points. City equalised 2 minutes into injury time, just as many of the fans were queuing up for the bus home. Brennan made amends with the cross of quality and Sean Taylor couldn't miss with the head. It was a goal which deserved a better rehearsed celebration. What was so special about it? The answer's coming soon. Those fans who were by now sitting on the top deck of the bus chomping chips missed all the best action. Greg Goodridge shouldn't have closed his eyes. Then Steve Phillips saved superbly from Lutal James just seconds before the final whistle. Now time for the answer to that Sean Taylor poser.
It's my 50th league goal, which is for a defender. I'm quite chuffed about it, really. I mean, it's took a bit of time with me injury the season before, but now 50 league goals today. It was nice to get a result as well, which was the most important thing.
Who needs Akinbaye?
I mean, we did.
Ashton Gate, Brett Ormerod's goal inspiring a tangerine dream of a rare victory. But in the end, their afternoon was blue because a man saw red and the defeat leaves them marooned towards the foot of the table. They say it's often harder to play against 10 men than 11. Not in Bristol City's case. When sub Phil Robinson was sent off 3 minutes into the second half, it signalled a goal glut. Robinson's fate was decided after much consultation. He was dismissed for pulling Tony Thorpe's shirt when he was in a goal-scoring position, albeit outside the box. Blackpool, already without the injured Ian Hughes, now down to 10 men. And to complete 60 seconds of hell, Mickey Bell. From then on, it was all City. Lorenzo Pinamonte showed a sign of what was to come, but time was running out. And when Greg Goodridge also struck wood rather than gold, it looked like being one of those afternoons. But Tony Thorpe completely changed it. Thorpe's Bristol City career barely got going under Benny Lennartson, but Tony Pulis is bringing the best out of him. He put City ahead with 20 minutes left, and with Adi Akinbaye off to Wolves, a lot rests on his shoulders. Thorpe added his second 10 minutes from time to make the game safe, set up by substitute Jim Brennan. Brennan was magnificent in his half hour on the pitch. With service like that, Thorpe's job was routine. It all spelt success for the Robins. Brennan scored the winner for Canada against Jamaica in the week, and more pinpoint service led to City's fourth. Carl Hutchings, the latest man to benefit from being in the right place at the right time. Hutchings had barely touched the ball again before a misdirected back pass started the ball rolling for a Blackpool consolation. Keeper Steve Phillips' error was shocking, but if you're going to do this, best to do it on a day when your side scores 5. John Murphy dished out the punishment. Phillips' efforts at a save, not much better than the clearance. Appropriately, City's win was sealed by Brennan, who capped a brilliant performance with the goal of the game that made it 4 in 20 minutes. And if City keep going like this, it could be a very good season. Bristol City 5, Blackpool 2.
Greg Goodridge and Steve Torpey for their visit to Scunthorpe United, who paired new signing Steve Guinan with former Rovers striker Guy Apua up front. The sending off of City's Paul Mortimer provided the main first-half talking point. Tony Pulis has spoken of a possible appeal against referee Paul Reed's decision, but may have second thoughts after seeing our coverage. Alex Calvo-Garcia floored by a clear off-the-ball elbowing the fence. Scunthorpe's players were incensed, but surprisingly the officials ruled the foul only worthy of a yellow card. It didn't make much difference as Mortimer received his marching orders just before the break for a clumsy challenge. This time there was no escape. In view of what had gone before, Mortimer could have no complaints. Things got worse for City just after the break when Scunthorpe grabbed the lead. Ipua held off Sean Taylor and then enjoyed a slice of good fortune to feed strike partner Guinan, who finished with relish. Scott Murray was involved in the unfortunate ricochet, and Guinan gleefully accepted his first goal for Scunthorpe. But City have lacked nothing in spirit since Pulis took charge, and the 10 men grabbed an equaliser on 79 minutes. Brian Tinnion's pass setting up newcomer Steve Jones. How he enjoyed his first strike for City since arriving from Charlton Athletic. Tinnion's vision created the chance, and that's what Pulis paid £450,000 for. City thought they'd grab the winner when Vilmos Chibuk's header was cleared off the line. But seconds later, the travelling fans did have something to celebrate. From the next corner, up popped Captain Marvel, Sean Taylor. What an inspiration the 36-year-old continues to be for City. So a first away win for Pulis and a move into the top half of the table.
week. They were knocked out of the Worthington Cup by First Division Nottingham Forest, but did record a second successive clean sheet at home. Unbeaten in 4 league games, the signs are that Tony Pulis has steadied the ship. Can he now set a course for the playoffs, or even better? He's yet to name an unchanged side, and the trend continues this afternoon, though Sean Taylor remains an automatic choice and lines up for his 500th league appearance. And there's a City debut for midfielder Paul Holland, whose on-off £200,000 move finally went through a couple of days ago. He's already played and lost against Burnley for Chesterfield this season, so he'll also have revenge on his mind. Burnley's charge to the top of the table has largely been based on their impressive record at Turf Moor, with 4 wins out of 4. The Clarets aren't so invincible on the road and went down 1-0 to Rovers on their last trip to Bristol a month ago. The Burnley side contains 2 City old boys. Mickey Mellon started his career at Ashton Gate a decade ago, and Gordon Armstrong enjoyed a 6-match loan spell here in '95. It's Burnley then in a change kit of white who get the game underway. And I'm sure it won't be lost on Bristol City that by winning here today, they could do Bristol Rovers a favour and possibly send them back to the top of the table. Interesting times, of course, with the local derby match just 3 weeks away now. Pinamonte's first touch, away by Cook. It's Mellon. Being closed down by Tinian, and Bristol City have the ball. That's a free kick for the foul on Mortimer. And today's referee comes from Chester. He's Mike Jones. This is Lavin. Wasn't a good cross, but a poor defensive header, so City keep the pressure on. Holland. Chance for him to make his mark immediately. Well, he's not shy of goal, is he? That would have been some start, around about a minute and a half into your debut. Burnley backed off and invited the shot. Holland took up the invitation. Mortimer looking crossfield for Lavin. City using the full width of the pitch. And Lavin's away from Payton, and the defence is backing off. Jones couldn't force it in. He'll have to settle for the corner. Panic stations in the Burnley defence. Gerard Lavin's run, which had them on the back foot. And a red shirt just unable to force the ball across the line. Both these clubs often referred to as sleeping giants. Maybe feeling they should be a little higher up the league ladder than Division 2. And certainly both have promotion as their goal this season. To that end, Burnley are much better placed at present. Certainly Bristol City do now seem to be finding their feet under Pulis, and finding his feet well here is Goodridge. But he won't find his first goal of the season. If there's one thing missing from his game, it's perhaps the finish. Forced to turn. Did well to retain possession. Now in towards Payton. He decides to leave it. Taylor just got a foot in, but it was a little untidy from the Bristol City defence. They haven't yet cleared the danger. This is Thomas to West. First sustained spell of pressure really from the visitors. Little allowed to turn. Feeds Cook. Have a go from distance. Well, Phillips got everything behind the ball. And most important of all, he made sure it didn't bounce off his body to any onrushing Burnley striker. Tinian looking to combine with Brennan. Now the cross comes in, Pinamonte there. More chances, few and far between. And the young striker will be disappointed that, having lost his marker to make the header, he didn't force a save out of the goalkeeper. A little touch on there by Pinamonte. Jones was fouled. Chance then for Bristol City. Tinian to take. Taylor! 1-0, is it? No, it's somehow stayed out. And Pinamonte unable to force it over the line. And Taylor so close to marking his 500th appearance with a goal. The header had beaten the keeper, all ends up. The ricochet off the upright wasn't favourable, and the red shirts couldn't force it home. Thorpe making his way into the middle. Works the 1-2 with Goodridge. It's Lavin. And away by Thomas. Picked up by Goodridge. Driven in low, and Crichton, with safe handling, gathers it in. Ching's doing well to hold off the challenges. Picks out Brennan. Gathering pace down the left, it's Jim Brennan. And still Brennan. Well, it's been that kind of afternoon. Jones not for the first time tangling with Davis. This time he's got the better of his man. Goodridge available wide right. Lavin gathering pace inside him. Goodridge going alone. Goodridge! Wonderful save. That really was top draw stuff. First of all, from the winger. He drilled his shot low. It was arrowing for the bottom corner, and Crichton stretched out a left hand to divert it. Really good piece of play. Of the two sides, you get the impression Burnley would be happier with a point. Delighted, of course, if they could snatch all three. Maybe there's a chance to do just that from this set piece. It's Cook who swings it in. Davis couldn't make it. Thomas is up there. Davis once more. Didn't get it cleanly. Just as well for Bristol City. Brennan picks out Thorpe. Hutching starts his run. Cover is provided by Jepson, the substitute. It'll come back now from Goodridge. Lavin outside him. Last chance perhaps. Right across the face of goal. Tinian returns it. It's hectic in there, but Burnley are somehow hanging on. A stalemate then at Ashton Gate. League leaders Burnley appeared to come here with the intention of taking a point, and that's exactly what they've done. Though Sean Taylor in the picture there was the closest to a goal for Bristol City. His second half header clattering against the upright and somehow staying out. Paul Crichton also made a fine save second half from Goodridge, but it was a game of precious few chances, and the final score here, Bristol City 0, Burnley 0. More league action, plus that very special prize competition still to come. That's all after this break.
The former Rovers striker is on loan from Notts County. He only had one decent chance against Colchester, which he put wide, and then immediately revealed that Rovers had also tried to re-sign him.
Bristol Rovers rung up right at the last minute and told me they would match any offer that Bristol City made. And that wasn't even in my thinking. Straight away when I spoke to the chairman from Notts County, he told me this. I said, no, you know, I want to speak to Bristol City. I don't want to speak to Rovers.
City took the lead against the bottom club when Brian Tinian capitalised on David Green's mistake. But in the second half, Carl Duggead was left with an easy chance. City booed off at the final whistle.
As on from the club's only FA Cup final appearance, Bristol City would gladly settle for a money-spinning run this season to fund further rebuilding of the squad. Recent acquisition, Billy Mercer, is not available yet, so Steve Phillips continues in goal. But 5 Tony Pulis signings, Lavin, Mortimer, Holland, Jones and Beadle do play, and there's an interesting change at the back, with Carl Hutchings asked to play in central defence. And Jim Brennan's £1 million move to Nottingham Forest has opened the door for Mickey Bell to resurrect a City career which has stuttered since he broke his leg last February. Today is only his 6th start of this season. Mansfield are starting life without Lee Peacock. Their leading scorer had been a Bristol City target, but ended up joining Manchester City for £500,000 instead. That leaves Tony Lormer to carry the attack for the Stags, a much-travelled striker around the lower leagues. He celebrated his 29th birthday yesterday. And there's plenty of pedigree at the back too. David Linegan's in his 17th season as a professional footballer, and brother Andy's goal won the FA Cup for Arsenal back in 1993. Mansfield showing a greater sign of adventure now from the dead ball. Both centre-backs, Linegan and Richardson, are up. It's curled into the near post area. Little flick on and Phillips is there, or is he? At the second attempt, that looked perhaps like handball, and the referee has given a penalty. The ball clearly hit Sean Taylor. The question now remains is, will he stay on the field? It's a red card and Sean Taylor has been sent off. What a chance then for Mansfield Town. It'll be Lormer against Phillips. It's 1-0. And the Stags are already on their way to an upset. This is Roscoe taking on Lavin. Mortimer's header away wasn't convincing. Good save by Phillips. Trying to pick out Beadle. Chest control was good. Meakin. Murray for Bristol City. Sweeps it out left side to find Bell. Hutchings is well forward in this attack. So too is Beadle. And back now for Tinian. It's 1-1. And Brian Tinian with a rare right foot strike has scored the goal. Terrifically worked down the left. Beadle's knockdown was itch perfect, and so was the finish from Brian Tinian, his 3rd of the season, and a very precious one indeed. Sunshine breaking out now at Ashton Gates. This is Murray, and Tinian, he's done it again. What an afternoon Brian Tinian is having, and that was a peach of a goal. Precision right foot strike brought the first goal. A delightful left foot chip delivers the second. This is Bell. Around the outside. Tinian's header, what a save. Otherwise that was the hat-trick. Done again by Beadle. Finds its way through to Murray. Now Meakin. Murray once more. Scott Murray. 3-1 Bristol City. And what a comeback it's been. Murray's first goal of the season. And didn't he take it well? Drilled past the goalkeeper. Murray. Will it open up for him? It's Scott Murray. It's mighty close to his 2nd and City's 4th. Blake. Great strike. There's hope yet for Mansfield Town. Mark Blake with a terrific volley from the edge of the box, and nothing at all Steve Phillips could do to keep that out.
City aren't exactly setting the 2nd division alight following relegation. Scoring goals has been their problem, failing to net in 7 of their previous 8 games. Martin Butler ended his personal barren run of 4 without a goal after just 2 minutes. So City's lead was especially great. That's 12 in total for Butler this season. When City did manage a goal, it was worth waiting for. Colin Cram's knockdown was hooked home for Steve Jones's second goal in a City's shirt since joining from Charlton. It meant a fifth successive home draw for Tony Pulis's team. Cambridge have only managed one win now in 14 league games. Bristol City 1, Cambridge 1.
The lead when Nicky Mohan headed in from a 66th minute corner. The Stoke defender making the most of the fact that suspended skipper Sean Taylor was missing from the visitors' defence. But a tactical switch rebounded on the Potteries team when Brian Tinian stunned them with an 85th minute equaliser. His own substitution last week had brought jeers from the Ashton Gate crowd, but on this evidence he and boss Tony Pulis have now made up. Tinian's the club's top scorer after this, his 5th goal of the season, but with City still languishing in 17th place in the table, they've got plenty of room for improvement.
Who injured his back in midweek was past fit to play for Bournemouth. City manager Tony Pulis, returning to one of his former clubs, made one change. Sean Taylor was recalled to the centre of defence after serving his one-match suspension. He replaced Carl Hutchings, who dropped to the subs bench. This report by Richard Latham.
Bournemouth have been a jinx side for City in cup competitions, and they began as if victory was a formality. Billy Mercer passing an early test. But City have looked more solid since signing experienced centre-back Keith Millen, and they withstood the early pressure, albeit with a few alarms. Soon Peter Beadle and then Ivan Tistimitanu was showing City were in the mood to battle. Steve Jones was also keen to impress against his old club. And his cross provided the first opening for Scott Murray. It was a warning Bournemouth failed to heed. The Beadle-Jones partnership has been much maligned, but from Jones' flick on, Beadle's clever pass put Murray in again. This time the wing-back produced a skillful finish. With all City's scoring problems of late, no wonder teammates rushed to share the celebration. It was Murray's first and second touches that made the opening. The third touch was clinical. In the second half, Bournemouth had early claims for a penalty as they fought to level things. Not the best time challenge of Sean Taylor's illustrious career, but referee Bill Jordan saw nothing wrong. The fact that Klaus Jorgensen had lost control of the ball may well have influenced the decision. Bournemouth then sent on an extra striker in Gordon Watson, only to be scuppered by one of the FA Cup goals of the day. Brian Tinian's cross found Jones, and substitute Carl Hutchins set up the inspired Murray for a strike he will long remember. Not a bad week to be Scottish, and unlike at Wembley, there was no first leg score to spoil the party. Again, the hard-working Jones was involved, but this has to go down as an outstanding individual goal. From then on, there was simply no stopping Murray. Well, legally at least. Carl Fletcher's innocuous trip brought a second yellow card and an early bath. A bad end to a day to forget for Bournemouth. But in City's camp, huge satisfaction and genuine cause for hope that at last a corner may have been turned. Bournemouth 0, Bristol City 2.
Peter Beadle got his first goal for the club last night to give them the lead against Oldham. A striker has to have a nose for goal, of course, but this was surely taking it a bit too far. Oldham fought back, though, after the break. Billy Mercer saving well from Mark Allett. Brian Tinian's been City's most effective goal scorer this season, and he came close again. But yet again, City let in a late one. Allett's header getting the better of Mercer, and there were more boos at the final whistle.
From Manchester City, Nick Fenton and Danny Allsop. For City, Gerard Lavin returned at right back in place of Scott Murray. Striker Peter Beadle passed a late fitness test and was then made captain for the day against one of his former clubs. It proved to be an eventful afternoon for the standing skipper, as Richard Latham reports.
What must City do to win a league game? Tony Pulis must be wondering just that after seeing Brian Tinian set the tone for a feast of attacking football at Meadow Lane. It's now 10 weeks since a second division victory, but you wouldn't have known it as Mickey Bell gave City a deserved lead. Paul Mortimer forcing another fine save from Darren Ward and a rare right foot strike from wing-back Bell. County's equaliser was a gift-wrapped early Christmas present. 4 City players converge on the ball. Somehow it beats Billy Mercer. Press reports suggested Beadle got the final touch. In fact, Keith Millen's attempted clearance went in off Paul Holland. Having been outplayed, County suddenly turned the game around thanks to early substitute Mark Stallard. Again, City seemed to have plenty of covering defenders, but Millen's error left Mercer exposed and Stallard made no mistake. 2 goals in a minute and County 2-1 up at half-time. After the break, it was soon all square again as Tinian's cross found the unlikely head of Ivan Tistimitanu. A sweet moment for the popular Moldovan, all that hard work battling back from knee surgery, well worthwhile. Now City looked the more likely winners again, and Tinian's skill and vision presented Beadle with the opening he wanted. 3-2 to the visitors. Steve Torpey had replaced Steve Jones at half-time and was the first to offer congratulations. How players love scoring against their former clubs. Acting skipper Beadle relished the moment, although the inspired Ward almost denied him. There was certainly nothing to relish about City's marking as Alex Dyer made it 3-3. The reaction said it all. To their credit, Pulis' team bounced back to lead yet again, with what will surely be a candidate for the club's goal of the season. Gerard Lavin started the ball rolling, but from then on it was all about Bell and a real screamer. An aptly named scorer for such a ding-dong battle. Even in top form, goalkeeper Ward didn't have a prayer. Sadly for City, there was one final twist to an amazing tale. This time it was hard to blame the defence, who were probably hoping defender Mark Warren would shoot from distance. It was that sort of day. Notts County 4, Bristol City 4. Ashton Gate on Saturday was just under 9,000. Better than at Swindon, but still more than 2,000 short of break-even figure. While Steve Torpey's opening goal provided some pre-Christmas cheer, the effects of the club's slump from First Division status are still being felt.
Well, certainly we're losing money. Last year we lost money the year before. That's nothing new. We've been very progressive over recent seasons. We're making big investment into our youth policy. So clearly it's a controlled expenditure which we fully expect and we budget to lose money. It's very dependent though on team performance, and there's no secret our performance over recent weeks, months has not been too good. And therefore there's been a detrimental impact on fans coming to games. That's obvious. We budget for 11,000 gates and currently we're getting around about 8.
City desperately need to turn the tide of poor results, and at least there were signs on Saturday that a revival might be imminent.
Tinian's first time ball is a good one. Causes all sorts of problems. And again the goalkeeper choosing to punch. It comes to Tistimitanu. Real chance here. 2-0. Sean Taylor.
The troubles at Ashton Gate and Swindon are evident at many clubs. Davidson blames spiralling wages.
Second and third division clubs currently are under extreme pressure from football agents in particular and players with increasing wage demands. You've got the pressure of Bosman, so if you don't meet these wage demands, players potentially, can leave for nothing. And therefore you're in this vicious circle. You then attempted to put up the prices of admission, and then people stay away, and you're in the slippery slope to financial difficulty.
Darren Caskey's free kick for Reading spelled more anxiety for City fans and chairman alike. But an even bigger worry to Davidson than results is the long-term effects of low gates.
There will certainly be a huge loss if we continue to get gates of, let's say, 7,000 to 8,000. We hope and we're confident that performances will improve and encourage our supporters back. They've been fantastic over the last 2 or 3 years, and I do believe, I mean, I was very encouraged by the size of the support we had here on Saturday. There will be a loss. I'm delighted to say that the board have, in my time here, the 4 or 5 seasons, backed the club financially and are prepared to continue to do so. So I guess we're in a fortunate position. But that can't go on forever, and we must look at ways of reducing the loss. We're looking to reduce the number of players on our wages here, and I think that's something you're finding all around football. Football clubs are reducing the size of their squads. They're going to rely on less and less what they call the senior pros, and look more and more for the lads, the younger players, to come through the youth development.
It's quite simple, really. All City have to do to get the turnstiles clicking again is produce more goals, like the one that clinched their first league win in more than 2 months.
Now there's a break on. Tinian trying to find the perfect ball for Peter Beadle. It was absolutely perfect. 3-1.
A timely tonic, not least for a young chairman whose own future has recently become a topic of fan speculation.
Is the old enthusiasm and determination to get the job done still there?
The enthusiasm's still there. I think you get tired, Richard, to be honest. It's a difficult job. There's expectation and from our supporters, and I have made it a policy right from the off to listen and talk to our fans, because I think that's the most important thing. This is their club, if you like, and we have struggled. We've been relegated, and it does get a bit tough, yeah.
By their first league win in 11 games at the weekend, City took the attack to Chesterfield, intent on deepening the gloom enveloping the bottom club. From the next corner, City skipper Sean Taylor nearly collected his second goal in the space of 3 days. In the end, the opening goal was a scrappy one. Chesterfield midfielder Mick Galloway deflecting the ball into his own net just before half-time. Billy Mercer and Paul Holland were both facing their former club for the first time since moving south, and keeper Mercer was determined to make it a happy return. City clinched all 3 points with a stunning strike on the hour. Moldovan midfielder Ivan Tistemitanu sinking Chesterfield and firing a warning shot to Saturday's FA Cup opponent.
First, though, Billy Mercer had to come to the rescue as Andrew Baird threatened to give mid-table Wickham the lead. While City dominated for long periods, this was one of several important saves from Mercer, who's proving a shrewd signing. Soon it was Tommy Black starting to catch the eye. One of numerous pinpoint crosses set up a chance for Peter Beadle. Wickham was still finding gaps in City's defence. Mercer had to be alert again to deny Keith Ryan. As earlier, Mercer was quick off his line and timed his dive to perfection. Black was gaining in confidence with every second of his league debut. Another searching cross picked out Beadle again. The rookie winger also began the move that almost led to Carl Hutchins giving City the lead. From Mickey Bell's pass, the midfield player's shot left Martin Taylor grasping at thin air. A wonderful strike from Hutchins and another intervention by the woodwork in what hasn't been the luckiest of seasons for City. Taylor was a mightily relieved goalkeeper again 9 minutes later when Black showed he had no fears about shooting from distance. City's young gunner might easily have begun life at Ashton Gate with a hat-trick. At the other end there was always the threat of a Wickham goal. Sean Taylor needed all his experience to pop up in just the right place to deny Matt Lawrence. Now City were giving Black the ball at every opportunity. And on the stroke of half-time he again came within inches of scoring. This shot had many City fans on their feet celebrating a goal. Unfortunately, it was the side netting. If Wickham spent half-time discussing how to stop Black, it didn't show, as he came even closer to a goal on 52 minutes. A neat interchange with Torpy and some neat footwork ended with a post getting in the way again. More outstanding skill from a player relishing every moment of a rare first-team opportunity. A richly entertaining game threatened to boil over with 20 minutes left, as Torpy and Beadle got involved in an ugly exchange. Wycombe players reacted angrily to Beadle's contribution, and the replay shows why. Torpy had been fouled originally, but his strike partner exacted some painful retribution on Steve Brown. Brown was booked for his part in the melee, and Beadle might have been relieved when the colour of his card was yellow as well. Brian Tinian just wanted to get on with the game, and more controversy soon followed. Once more it was Black's quick feet and determination causing Wycombe no end of problems. Watch out for a tangle with striker Baird, back helping out his defence. Baird won the ball cleanly the first time, but as Black aggressively tried to regain possession, he was sent flying. Already booked, Baird was banished by referee Alan Wiley, perhaps a shade harshly. From then on, City laid siege to the Wycombe goal, but the closest they came was when Black produced his last telling cross and Torpy's shot was blocked on the line. So an 8th home draw in 11 league games for City, but a new name on everyone's lips at the final whistle, that of Tommy Black.
I've come here with an open mind, to be honest. I don't know where I stand at Arsenal. Bristol City have taken a liking to me already, so I just see how things go, play game by game and make the decisions when I need to at the end of the loan spell. So,
like I said after the game, it's an embarrassment for me to actually sit and watch. We nearly got promoted last year at Gillingham. We missed out on injury time. But we never ever control games the way Bristol City at this football club control games. That's out of the 8 draws now. I think there's only been 2 or 3 games where you could say, well, okay, it was a bit 50-50. The rest of the games we have controlled.
Obviously, I played quite well and the rest of the team played well. We deserved the 3 points, but unfortunately, for all the work we put in, we got 1 point to show for it when we should have 3. So it's not really an individual performance, it's more of a team performance, which we get credit from. And I think the lads done well tonight, as the crowd showed at the end. They said that they usually get booed off, they got cheered off tonight, so that's a good sign.
Bristol City started the 21st century with a win thanks to Sean Taylor, the defender's 70th minute goal, taking the New Year honours at Wrexham's racecourse ground.
Goalless draw at Ashton Gate this season was not without controversy. Ivan Tistamatanu appeared to have given City the lead just before half-time, but the goal was disallowed by the linesman for an alleged push on the keeper, even though the referee had given the goal. Brian Tinian complained to the ref's assistant and was sent off.
The referee's 5 yards away, sees the incident and gives a goal, and you've got a linesman stood in the corner in front of the Cardiff supporters waving his flag. I've seen the video, or sorry, people have seen the video and say that the keeper's just flapped with it. Steve Torpy's not fouled him at all.
Both sides had good chances to win the game. City's best effort saw Alex Meacham's overhead kick cleared off the line.
If City ignore calls for John Ward's return and seek an internal appointment to replace Tony Pulis, the names of Leroy Rossini and Sean Taylor will be among those discussed. While Taylor was missing with a foot injury yesterday, Rossini was on the bench, helping Academy Director David Burnside and Chief Scout Tony Forthrop make a winning start in caretaker charge. That challenge on Tony Thorpe led to the opening goal. Brian Tinian's free kick was met by Steve Torpy, and Keith Millen pounced to open his account for the club. Reward for City's first half dominance and plenty to cheer at the start of the post-Pulis era. Torpy's deft header left Millen with the sort of chance even central defenders relish. Having been cheered off at the break, City suffered a setback straight after the interval when Bournemouth hit back to equalise. Mark Steen's header was misjudged by Paul Holland, and Steve Robinson picked his spot. But this was to be the day that Thorpe gave a reminder of the scoring talents that led City to pay £1 million for his services. Bournemouth's defenders appeared mesmerised as the striker found a way through a forest of legs to regain the lead. Shocking defending by 3 Bournemouth players, but Thorpe made the most of their generosity to show he hasn't forgotten how to finish. City's third goal was gift-wrapped by Bournemouth's Stuart Elliott, whose rush of blood and barging foul on Thorpe brought an obvious penalty. Credit Thorpe for chasing a lost cause, but if Elliott hadn't got involved, Carl Broadhurst would have simply shepherded the ball out of play. Up got Thorpe to produce a typically cheeky penalty. That wasn't the end of the story, as Bournemouth fought back again with 6 minutes left. City's new-look defence repelled the first attack, but not the second, as John O'Neill leapt to make it 3-2. City fully deserved their victory, but in injury time they so nearly threw it away. Another left-wing cross, another O'Neill header, and Billy Mercer to the rescue. A Tony Pulis signing ensuring early success for the...
Midfielder Matt Hewlett came in from the cold for City and soon warmed the fans with a 15th minute opening goal. Bournemouth, beaten 3 times already by City, were initially kept at bay by the inspired goalkeeping of Billy Mercer. But even he had no answer to a low strike from Mark Steen shortly before the break. Steve Torpey nearly sealed it in the second half, but he too found a goalkeeper in top form. Extra time saw Mickey Bell close, but not close enough. So it was down to penalties, with Peter Beadle kicking off in fine style for the home side. First blood went to Mercer with a brilliant save from Scott Mean. Not everyone could bear to watch, but it got even better when Steen blazed well over. And skipper Keith Millen coolly kept City's cup dream alive.
We owe it to the fans. They haven't had a great deal to cheer about this season, so it'll be great to pay them back and take them to Wembley. We're not doing so well in the league. We've got to put that right first, but it'll be lovely, a lovely thank you to the fans to take them to Wembley.
Plenty to celebrate then for City's caretaker managers, who may yet end up leading the side out at Wembley.
Debut in